Hey guys, and welcome to the Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report presented by Angelo DePaola, the Coastal Connection with eXp Realty. The first podcast to bring you the local inshore, offshore, and onshore fishing report, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. We have a great show lined up this week, but first, let's see who's making the show possible. This week's Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report is brought to you by Bahio Sunglasses. Want to catch more fish? Experience the clearest lenses on the planet with Bahio sunglasses. Because you'll see more, you'll catch more. It's as simple as that. Try on a pair at your local retailer or check out BahioSunglasses.com to witness the magic for yourself. Bahio is an independent, sustainable, carbon-neutral sunglass company based in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. And also brought to you by Fishing Chaos, fishing tournaments coming up near you. Do you fish in a club? Do you manage a club? Does your club hold fishing tournaments? If the answer is yes to any of these, now is the time to reach out to Fishing Chaos. Get your club listed and managed on Fishing Chaos now for free. Contact Jesse Wilson for details at 256-508-1853 or go to fishingchaos.com to schedule a demo. All right, guys, I am Butch, the host of the Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report. I am joined today with co-host Captain Richard Rutland with Cold Blooded Fishing. How we doing today, Captain Blood?
Woo, man, you know how I always say, if I was any better, I'd be you up there in the woods, man. You just showed me your landscape that you're looking at behind your computer screen there, man. It looks like it's a beautiful day to be in the outdoors, man. I spent some time on the water this morning, and it was very picturesque.
It was a very beautiful day, man. The weather's been incredible.
Yeah, it actually feels like wintertime, just kind of halfway a little bit, you know?
Yeah, it's been super cold the past couple of days. This is definitely a different scenery that I'm used to recording the podcast on. So I kind of like it. I don't hate it at all.
No, sir. Yeah, no. Like I said, what you just showed me when you turned your computer around and showed me from our Zoom meeting here, very beautiful.
Might be able to catch a bass from right here at the podcast down there.
Oh, I know if you got a slick lure on tied
That's
on,
true.
You can reach it. You can reach down there because God knows we can throw them juggers 5 miles, huh?
Absolutely agree, man. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to talking with you and Captain Patric Garmeson about inshore fishing. I have had my finger off of the pulse up here in the woods. Like you say, I was in Michigan for Christmas. Feel like I've been all over the world, so I'm ready to get back into it and see what you guys have had going on.
Heck yeah. Was Santa Claus good to you?
Oh yeah, always, man. How about you?
Man, Santa Claus brought me a new boat, man. I've been working on my new toy, man. I got a new
Ooh.
contender in the works. Been hard at it. You know, I always get super excited to get a new boat, but really what it means is I have a lot of work to do to kind of get it all rigged out how I want it. Yep. And get all the kinks and all the bugs worked out. Heck, I've had it for about 2 or 3 weeks now, and I hadn't even put it in the water yet. You know what I mean? I want to make sure everything is buttoned up, put together, and just how I want it before I start fishing out over, you know.
Going through the cold-blooded custom shop.
That's it. I'm real particular.
Well, you got to be. It's your office. How much time you spend on the water, you got to be particular about it.
Yep, I'm very particular about everything, and I like doing a lot of my own rigging. I put my own trolling motor on and my power poles and GPS, and I'm always screwing with the live well systems. Got to put some bubble machines in there and some recirculator pumps and all kinds of things like that. She's coming right along though. I tell you, the most painstaking part about it is like just what everybody would say right now with this BS COVID world that we live in. Can't get anything.
Supply chain.
Parts and things that you should just be able to go to the store and buy, or it takes 2 or 3 weeks. And I did a really good job, I feel like, at getting most of the major things here, but then now all these little tiny things are kind of holding me up. But heck yeah, I can't wait to splash that joker. Went and took her up to Easy In Storage and Detailing up there in Saraland. Dustin Jackson up there. They put the ceramic coat on the boat.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how you like that. I've heard some great things about it.
I know. I'm really looking forward to that. I can already tell that it's going to be amazing, you know, because I'm getting in and out of the boat while I've been rigging it. Wipe my feet off as much as I can to walk around. But even when you do walk around, a little bit of stuff gets on there and you just be amazed. Just the morning dew from the next day kind of like just washes some of the crud off or whatever, you know. It just like even my non-skid, if the boat's sitting at an angle, you can see the water beading off of the non-skid from one angle to the next. It's pretty neat. I'm really looking forward to seeing how hopefully it helps improve my cleanup time, man. I tell everybody I wash a boat for a living. So.
Yeah, every day, literally.
You have to.
Well, I mean, with that ceramic coating on the hull, you'd pick up at least 3 or 4 mile an hour, I would think, on that contender.
Yeah,
right?
man. You can see I got my hair cut too. That gave me a couple more mile an hour. Man, we'll have that contender Yamaha running about 70, 72 mile an hour before you know it, man.
I like it.
Roll Tide.
Heck yeah. All right, man. Well, let's go ahead and jump on into this report. All right, Captain Richard, let's head on down to, not even going to try and begin to know where he's been at, but let's go see what Captain Patric Garmeson is doing with Ugly Fishing. What'd you say, Cap Mug?
Actually, just kind of at the house today, been doing some honeydews and stuff, trying to, get ready for the grind that'll be here before I know it, man. Just come right off the grind last day of December, and kind of been on cruise control here last few days, but
You have a good Christmas at the Garmeson household?
yeah, man, everything was good. Everything's good. Got to see some family and hung out a little bit. Ate too much food.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Cooked my first brisket. It turned out flavorful, but I don't know. I got to look into the technique. The bottom was super crusty, like dried out, but the middle part and the top all worked out well.
Interesting. I'll have to give you some smoking lessons.
It's usually pretty good, Patrick. Burn the bottom out and then the top and the midsection, good to go, man. That's about my speed right there.
I mean, 75, 80%. What else can you ask for?
Yeah, that's about what I got. I got about an 80% brisket. It worked out.
Yeah. I think that we could have done a cooking show over at the Rutland household for between Christmas and New Year's. We had a prime rib, a standing rib roast. We did a crown of rack of lamb.
Come on now.
Kind of deal. I think I cooked fish one night. I mean, we've been all over the place.
Had you $400-500 worth of meats over there.
And we fried a turkey. Come on.
Ooh, come on with it.
Oh yeah.
Sound like Arby's over there. He got
He got the meats.
Well, I know you guys have both been fishing a good bit. We'll start with Captain Patrick. What you been up to, and I'll just let y'all run with this thing because I hadn't been doing much but hunting.
Man, my routine has been speckled trout in the morning and sheephead later in the morning. Pretty much every charter I had up until my little break. Speckled trout were very reactive to the water temperature being a little bit warmer. I was seeing water temps in the 60s and close to 70-degree range. And I mean, we were throwing slick lures in shallow water, doing really, really well. Now we've had a couple of nights in the 30s and 40s. I'd imagine that those fish are going to slide off into some deeper areas. A lot of times it takes several days, 5 or 6 or so days in the 30s, like nighttime 30s, to be able to really move that water temperature down, and then they just go and lock into some type of winter pattern. But man, with the current weather that we've been having, where we'll have maybe 2 or 3 days of cold and then 5 days of warm, man, it's actually been a little bit easier for me to find fish on as it warmed up a little bit, because it just put the fish shallow and kind of easier to find. I've talked over the years with Bobcat, and he hates jig fishing, and I've always asked him why he hated jig fishing and fishing deep water, and it's really because it requires you to have to try to figure out how to catch those fish somewhere between the top of the water column and the bottom, and it could be 1 foot to 28 feet deep when they get in that funky range where they want to be, where there's no telling where they're gonna hang out. Versus like when it's super cold, you're pretty much going to guarantee they're going to be on the bottom or near the bottom, and not so much in the shallows. But like in the springtime, when there's a lot of activity in the shallow water, you just stay slap focused in the shallow, and you only have 2 to 3 feet of water to cover. What you got, Richard?
So I agree. I agree. I'm not as hard-headed as Bobcat is, maybe we'll say, about the deep water thing. I think it's much easier to catch them, obviously, when they're in shallow water, especially this wintertime stuff. Nothing in the world excites me more than being able to go into, like, let's say less than 4 or 5 foot of water in the wintertime in some of these tidal rivers that we love to fish in, and be able to find the fish. It should, like you said, just the reduced water column makes them much easier to find. But something I was kind of thinking about when you were talking about the deep water jigging thing. I was listening to a guest of ours who we're going to have on after you in a little while. I was listening to Chris Bush's podcast with Chad Champagne, the owner and creator of the Matrix Shad.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to him and Chris talk, and that was one thing that Chaz was kind of talking about with the deep water jigging thing is, man, with the deep water jigging thing, it's really tough to cover a lot of water in a day because it takes so long to let your jig sink 20 foot down and then work it in for, one cast you work in for 3 minutes,
Working it super slow on the bottom.
Yeah. And then you cast again. You got to wait 30 seconds for it to hit the bottom and then start jigging again. And then I think one thing that Patrick and I have definitely helped, I guess, take some of the guesswork out of it is being good with our electronics. Patrick and I are both Ray Marine guys. We really, really, really believe in our electronics, and they're definitely my eyes underwater. When I see something on there that catches my eye, it 9 times out of 10, it's right. I found some fish today in between the marinas and Dog River by just riding around, kind of looking at my electronics like, oh, that looks like trouty right there, huh? Let me only make a few casts here. And then sure enough, like my second cast, boom, caught one.
Those good electronics save you a lot of casts.
Yep, it damn sure did, and I, in between the marinas, I probably stopped about 5 times through there while I was looking at it, but all I had to do was make about 6 or 8 casts, and then nothing there, nothing going on there, and then stopped on something else, stopped on the next time, and boom, it was fish, and I caught 8 fish in about 15 or 20 minutes, and then it wasn't what I was looking for getting ready for this tournament this weekend, but golly, saved you a lot of time. That deep water jigging to me is a ton of fun. I mean, it's
whenever it's on, it's fun. Whenever it's not on, to me, it's like kind of like beating my head against the wall a little bit.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
But if you do what Richard's saying and you take and utilize the electronics that you have and you spend a lot of money on, it's night and day difference. I can't tell you how many times I've been in the Mobile River or up in the Delta or like in area like Richard's talking about in between the marinas, and just been easing along and see a school of fish and put a jig down there and catch them. And I've also been through areas where I just dropped the trolling motor, eased on through, never saw anything, made 1 or 2 casts just to make sure that I wasn't missing something. Never got a bite, kept moving until I found fish, and it saved me a lot of time because I wasn't sitting there just like, well, this is my favorite spot on the 3rd week of December, so this is where I'm going to sit here and fish all day long.
Man, they should be here. Huh?
They should be here. They should be biting.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, and in Theodore Canal, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been in Theodore Canal and just easing along and see like a big giant school of fish, throw a lure out there and catch one. And it had nothing to do with time of the year. It was just that I knew that the fish were in the canal. So I was spending some time scanning it and see something that stood out to me and catch the fish. And I don't know how many times I've done it in the canal in areas that I've never thrown a line before. And I mean, to the point now where I've just about cast at every square inch of that place because of doing that.
All right, folks, let's take a quick break and hear from a few of this week's sponsors. This fishing report is brought to us by Boaters List. Boaters List is your new reliable and fast resource designed to link everyone to everything on the water. If you own or run a boat, you know how difficult it can be to find the right company for the task at hand. Boaters List makes it easy to find the service that you are looking for. Locate anything from fuel docks to service repairs or rentals of large yachts, even down to paddle boards and all things in between. BoatersList.com will always strive to make it better on the water. And also brought to you by MB Ranch King hunting blinds and feeders are built to last right here in the USA. With durability and convenience in mind, MB Ranch King's maintenance-free blinds are constructed with high-grade steel and come in a variety of sizes to meet any hunter's needs. They offer high-quality, easy-to-use corn and protein feeders that can be filled with both feet on the ground. Call Kevin today for more info or a quote at 205-807-2937. MB Ranch King, built in the pursuit of perfection. And also brought to you by Advanced Transmission in Spanish Fort. Give the professionals a call who have been trusted on the Gulf Coast for over 25 years at 251-626-6061 or check them out online at www.advanced-transmission.com.
Weather's been crazy, except for the past, 3 or 4 days. When did it cool off big time down there for you guys?
Monday, I guess, Sunday or Monday.
So, before that, we've had, 2 or 3 weeks of 80-degree weather. And, I remember talking, before the holidays even began, maybe middle or beginning of December, Bobby was like, we've got to have some cooler days to get the fish where they need to be. You mentioned the water temperatures, and are we there yet, or do we just need more cold weather? I can't believe we're talking about needing more cold weather on the first week of January, but it's just reality.
To get to the full blown weather or winter pattern, you need probably a good 10 days of solid cold to really put fish into the.
So they're still not where they should be, quote.
Yeah, quote unquote, they're not where they should be in many areas. But the interesting thing that I've seen, despite us thinking that, all right, well, they're staying shallow and this and that. There was a tagged fish report here recently out of Bon Secours River the fish was tagged at the mouth or somewhere near the mouth of Bon Secours River, and then in a couple of weeks, it was basically as far up the Bon Secours River as you could go. And there was really, during that time period, there was really no hard cold weather that you would think would be pushing those fish up the creek and up the river. So regardless of the water temperature, there are still some fish responding basically to just the short days and just doing their winter thing based on the shortness of the day and the time of the year. So there is a little bit of calendar reading by some of these fish, but the vast majority of them, I think, when the water is warm and maintains a lot warmer than what we would expect this time of year, it does tend to spread them out and leave some fish out in the bay. Because most of the fish that I've been catching, speckled trout wise, pretty much every speckled trout I've been catching, with the exception of a couple weeks where I found them in the Delta, I've been in the bay all fall into the winter. I've been in Mobile Bay, and I know Richard's been in some of the tidal rivers catching some fish, but we were all kind of chasing a few fish in the Delta, and then when it got really warm there, it just kind of shut all that down. And just, the fish are there. There's no reason for them to have left. Now that we're getting a little bit of rise in the rivers, it will probably help some of that Delta fishing out that everybody's kind of forgot about now. But there'll be some fish show up where we would expect to see them during typical cold patterns, because you're going to have a combination of the fresh and a little bit colder water temperature.
Yep, I agree with that 100%. In the past couple of days that I've been on the water, the one thing I've definitely noticed in the tidal rivers, that I'm no longer catching any fish in shallow water. When I say shallow, we'll just say less than 4 feet, less than 4 to 6 foot of water. I'm not really catching a lot of fish anymore. They're definitely drawn more towards what I would call the deeper sections of the river. I'm fishing more like deep underwater ledges right now is basically what I would say I'm fishing. So I'm looking for an area where you have 3 to 4 foot of water and it's dropping off to 6 to 10, 12 foot of water, something like that is basically what the pattern's kind of turned into since this last little bump of cold that we've had. I wish I'm like everybody. I kind of wish that the cold would lay in there a little longer, but it's going to warm back up, and then it looks like it's going to cool off again. I guess today was kind of a warm up day, and I think tomorrow night it's supposed to go back down into the 30s again, and then be right back up, warmed up again Friday. The weather's kind of all over the place, but I'm not talking about anybody in general, but as far as where they should be, all this stuff, man, that we do this every year, where we're like, man, they ought to be this, they ought to be that, blah, 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 man, just follow this, just pay attention to the signs, Are you on a warm up? Are you on a cool down? It seems like literally the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, we hadn't had like what I would call a typical winter. You know, it warms up, it cools down. It warms up, it cools down. You know,
those fish don't care where you want them to be.
no, they don't. They don't. And you just need to know what you need to think about in your mind is, are we on a warm up or are we on a cool down? Like right now we're on a cool down, I feel like. So they're going to fall off of the edges of the flats and down into the deeper water and live and feed on those, like I'm talking about, the deep water ledges. And then when it warms up, they're going to sneak right back up onto the to the edges of those flats, and you'll start catching them in that, 3 to 4 foot of water again, So, and we're talking about the Delta, and I guess we'll just call the Mobile River part of the Delta. Patrick, you and I were talking a little bit earlier today, and one thing we've seen in regards to the Delta and the Mobile River, when we have these flushes, those fish have to go somewhere. They can't withstand less than, I think, 2 parts per thousand salinity. So
five for trout.
Yeah, 5. Yeah. So they need at least that. So I'm probably going to take on your nickname a little bit, Positive Pat, and be positive a little bit and say they're going to, hopefully in that neck of the woods in the upper part of the bay, they're going to bunch up somewhere, because they're going to have to find at least 5 parts per thousand salinity to stay alive. So to at least just stay alive. I feel like there's a fair amount of salt in the system right now, as far as like upper part of the bay down south. It's really salty down on the south end right now. Water like as clear as you've ever seen it down around Dolphin Island and stuff. That probably is going to change with this little flush, but I would think that those fish are going to be seeking some of that salinity, and that would be where some of that satellite imagery that we like to look at, where you can get a picture of Mobile Bay on a nice, clear, sunny day, bluebird day. You can see where those mud plumes are coming down. You'll see where the salt's going to bunch up with that green water versus brown water. That'd be kind of what I'd be looking for some of here going forward.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about bait. What do you guys see? I know you guys love the slick lure. Has there been any particular color that have been eating it up, or has it just been condition based, or what you think?
That's a good question, Butch, because I actually told Richard that I had one of our podcast listeners, Joe, he was on the boat. We were throwing slick lures. He was throwing a bobcat or the B cat, and which is the white or the pearl with chartreuse tail, and caught a couple of fish on it. But then I had his uncle throwing a pink with chartreuse Betts halo shad swim bait, and he was doing okay. So then his Joe's B cat got tore up, and we took it off, and he looked in my slick lure binder. I've got like one of those like full blown worm binders where I've got every sleeve full of slick lures, and he grabs one of the pink and chartreuse ones, and he's like, what do you think about this one? I was like, you can go ahead. I said, I don't know that I've caught a fish on one this year.
Was it clear water, or what were the conditions?
It was decent. Like, it was probably 18 inches of visibility, but it was dirty per se, but it certainly wasn't muddy, but it was definitely a stained water. Friggin' first cast with the pink and chartreuse, he whacks a 23 incher. I was like, well, there you go.
Guess that was a good call.
So then he stuck with that and kept fishing it, kept catching fish, and it ended up having probably one of the better days I had towards the end of December, as far as numbers and quality. And then I just kept that lure on for the next couple of trips, and it continued to produce and outproduce the other colors. So the pink and chartreuse really fired up good for me. When the water was cleaner and when I was in real good and clear water, the cool beans always seems to stand out. And then the that pea mint, those two colors were really, really good for me when I was in clear water leading up to this cold event. And then on the little slick, we were actually throwing the little slick a good bit in Mobile River, and throwing it on a swim bait hook. So it would have like a really slow fall, and we would twitch it real hard as it was sinking, but it would take, you're throwing it over 15, 18 feet of water. It'd take, like 30 seconds, 45 seconds for it to get to the bottom because it's slow sinking. but those fish were hitting it probably about 6 to 8 feet deep, and they were really keyed in on that pink. We tried the cool beans and the little slick and the swamp thing and the limon. None of those were really getting any action, but that just plain pink little slick was doing really well.
All right, guys, take a quick break and hear from a few of this week's sponsors.
This week's Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report is brought to us by Test Calibration. Is your diesel engine showing signs of low pressure or excessive engine smoke? If so, you may be in need of a repair to your diesel fuel injection system. Test Calibration has been selling and servicing diesel turbochargers and fuel injection systems since 1976 and are up to date with all the latest diesel technology. No matter if you're running a diesel in your boat, tractor, or truck, Test Calibration can help you. Contact them at 800-822-0057 or visit them online at testcalibrationdieselandturbo.com. And also brought to you by Bucks Island. They have new pontoon boats, bass boats, bow riders, and aluminum boats for sale. They provide boat service on all kinds of boats, even if they weren't purchased from Bucks. Visit them at 4500 Highway 77 in Southside, Alabama, or give them a call at 256-442-2588. And also brought to you by Dixie Supply and Baker Metalworks. Dixie Supply and Baker Metalworks are proud to be your metal roofing headquarters for over 40 years. Save time and money by buying from the most reliable manufacturer on the Gulf Coast. Buy it today, pick it up today. With the addition of their new store in Cantonment, Florida, they now have 8 locations to serve you. Dixie Supply and Baker Metalworks, your metal roofing headquarters.
Let's talk about colors for a second. And I know most, I guess we'll call diehard trout fishermen, as far as color goes, what I usually try to do is match the conditions. If I'm fishing dirty water or darker conditions, I'm usually throwing a dark color. I have 2 colors in my opinion. I have light colors and I have dark colors. But it is so funny how sometimes it's the opposite. The fish are on the opposite of what you would think or what would make sense as far as like 99% of the fishing that you do goes. And then you have like kind of what you're talking about, Patrick, fishing that kind of off color brown water and catching them on pink and chartreuse, which is a bright color. But then
the pink and the little slick is subtle.
That's a different pink. And I would think that pink would blend in with some off color brown water better than like a pearl or something like that. A pearl is going to pop, but like the pearl and the chartreuse works really good in muddy water or an off color water, and you would think that sometimes that would be on something more like the goblin or the mad mullet.
That's what I was just about to say.
Or something like that, and I don't know. It's just so funny. You just have to be well versed, I think, when you go out looking. Like today, I've been kind of in scout mode for a Battle of the Grubs tournament that was coming up on Saturday. I think I brought like 8 rods with me. I had one spinning rod with like a top water or something on it. And then every other one was rigged with a slick lure and I had a different color on. And I'd pick up one color and throw it for 10, 12 casts, whatever, pick up another color, just to make sure that I wasn't missing something, and heck, today I think I caught them on 4 different colors, which leaves you scratching your head, being like, man, what are they on or what are they not on? I think there's a lot of days where they're just going to hit any color you throw at them. It doesn't matter what it is. You put the profile in the water and work the bait right
action.
Get a good cadence. And then there's other days when it's going to be real color specific. I was kind of seeing some of that color specific stuff about a month ago. There's only a couple of colors that they were really keying in on, which was funny about that time too, because it was cool beans and goblin, you know what I mean? Exact opposites of each other, catching them on the same cast, which still further blows my mind. But that cool beans, that thing is so versatile. You can catch fish on that lure in air clear water, in muddy water, in cloudy conditions, in bright conditions. That thing is just such a go-to. Golly.
Yep, definitely one of my favorites.
Redfish. Redfish, I haven't really crossed paths with many other than I did catch a real big one on a dirty ice. And that's a pretty cool story. So I had gone out, caught a few fish, or I had ran a charter. We had a pretty good morning. We cleaned fish and I took them out, dumped them. Whenever I was headed out, I was like, man, it is so freaking glassy calm. I need to get Cooper out here. So I called Autumn to go bring grab Cooper and bring him out there to me. And whenever she was on the way to get him and bring him to me or whatever, I just eased away from the boat ramp and just was kind of looking, and I was looking at satellite, just looking at my fish finder and just kind of being observant. I wasn't looking to fish at all. And I noticed a bunch of mullet pushing way, way up onto this flat. And I was like, you know what? I'm wondering if there ain't some trout or redfish or something up there with them. So I dropped the trolling motor and started easing out there. And I wasn't sure how far onto the flat I was going to be able to get my boat, because it was a pretty doggone shallow flat. And I just started fan casting with a slick lure in amongst those mullet, and got donked. And it was a 50-inch bull red. I mean, I've never caught anything like that in my life.
That's your biggest one, right?
Yeah.
I saw that. That thing was a slob.
Yeah, it was a beast, but it was on the dirty ice slick lure. But I guess what I wanted our listeners to think about is, man, there's so many times that I can look back and where I had a memorable catch or a memorable day and ended up being in a spot I had never fished before. And it was 100% because I was paying attention to the conditions and reacting to what was happening. I had a huge incoming tide pushing water up onto this flat. There were mullet all over this flat, and the temperature was warm. It was nice and calm, and it just was a good setup. And I eased out there and caught the biggest redfish of my life. And there again, I've had very similar instances throughout our system where I just saw a scenario playing out that
reacted to
fishy. I reacted to it and capitalized. I mean, Richard, we probably do that 20, 30 times a year.
Oh yeah.
Guide fishing. People are paying us money to take them fishing, put them on fish. And we're like, you know what? That looks right there. And we stop and we catch fish and we're like, yeah, this first time I've ever been here.
I totally meant to do that.
Yeah. I always when that because you're right, that does happen to you all the time, or I say all the time, a handful of times a year. And I always chuckle. I'm always real quiet about it at first, right? I'm usually sitting there like grinning ear to ear when you find a new school of fish while you're on a trip, because like when I'm on a trip, when I take people on a charter, I'm not going to explore any kind of new water most of the time when I'm on a charter. I'm going to where I know fish are, because like you said, people are paying us money to put them on fish, and I'm on the inside. I'm a gleaming ray of sunshine, and I'm usually like all giddy and giggling, laughing, whatever, and then I'll always tell myself, I'm like, y'all know what's really funny about this right now, or catching all these fish, like what? And I'm like, I've never caught a fish here in my life, and it's like, we just got completely lucky, man. I always love getting lucky. Everybody loves getting lucky.
I'd rather be getting, I'd rather be lucky than good any day.
Oh yeah, any married man can say they love getting lucky, right?
Amen. Amen.
Yes, sir. Yes,
well,
sir.
guys, what else did we miss? Miss anything?
But Patrick, just to your point there, man, that's, if I hadn't said it 100 times, I hadn't said it once, man, you have to pay attention to what you're doing when you're doing it, and pay attention to the signs, you know what I mean? Because the little bit that, any of us who are fishermen, anytime we get around the water, heck, when I'm driving across the bayway, I'm looking out there and I'm reading the water, looking for some kind of sign and knowing what the tide's doing, knowing what your water depths are in areas, paying attention to your water depths when you're driving around your boat and looking at your bottom machine and whatnot, and knowing those kind of little things, man, it really goes a long way. It can really
change the trip.
You got to really start thinking like a fish, there's incoming tide and a bunch of bait, and heck, I'm gonna sneak up on this flat right here and I'm gonna feed because the water column's less, and it's gonna be easy to find something.
Well, Richard, you said it. I mean, cold-blooded animals, and that's what we're chasing. We're chasing a cold-blooded creature that its body temperature is reacting to its immediate environment. If it's colder, the metabolism slows down and it does this. If it's warming up, it's doing something different. If you go out there fishing and you're not reacting to the changing conditions, you're probably going to have far less success.
You're gonna struggle.
Then,
You're gonna struggle.
yeah. But if you go into it, if you go into every fishing trip with the mindset that I'm gonna go to where I think I need to get started, but then react to that. I can't tell you how many times, especially this time of year, where it almost seemed a little easier, because I can remember going into, say, like Dog River or something, and I get into where I think I should be fishing, and it's like, man, the water temperature dropped more than I was expecting. To me, a drop in water temperature is going to push them either deeper or further up the river or up the creeks or whatever. And I continue to follow and just keep going up and up and up, or deeper and deeper and deeper, whatever I feel like is the right decision. And that's how I end up finding the fish, versus spinning around in circles on my trolling motor in the 3 areas where I think they should be.
Right.
And then I go home like, well, they just wasn't biting today. Well, they was biting somewhere, and I'm going to try to hunt them down, and that's just part of being reactionary to your day of fishing. So
yeah, that's one thing that Bobcat and I talk about a bunch is and you're the exact same way, Patrick, is we are conditions fishermen. You know what I'm saying? You have to fish what you're given as far as the conditions go, and you absolutely can't. If you want to be good at this, you cannot be a spot fisherman.
I think that's what separates the men from the boys, in my opinion.
That's it, man. If you're a spot fisherman, it works out probably 50 or 60% of the year fishing spots, but there's a lot of times those spots don't make any sense to fish, and you got to start thinking about that, thinking about what the tide's doing, what the wind's doing. Are we on a warming spell? Are we on a cooling spell? Are they coming up? Are they going down? Are they eating shrimp? Are they eating mullet or pogies? You gotta pay attention to the signs, which I'm calling all that conditions.
Right, man. I think that's great stuff.
So that's the way you wrap your brain around it.
Yeah, I think you guys broke it down really well. I think that our listeners will get a lot of good use out of that.
Well, thank you, Butch. That makes me feel better. I'm gonna sleep good tonight.
That's what I'm here for. I'm here for back pats and attaboys. That's what I'm good at.
Nice. Well,
that's a great inshore report, Patrick. Folks, when I get up with you and book a trip, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
First step, go to uglyfishing.com, click the book now button, check my calendar. I'll have quite a few people that just go on there, find their date, and book it that way. If you got any questions before booking, just give me a call or shoot me a text at 251-747-1554.
Awesome. Great information. We look forward to hearing from you next time, buddy. Be safe out there.
All right. Thanks, boys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I believe this is around episode 200 of the Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report, and I have never claimed to be a technological genius of any sort, but I think once out of 200 times is not that bad. Luckily, we got to talk with Captain Patrick and Captain Richard extensively about the inshore things that are going on in our area right now. So we got a great inshore fishing report. We talked to Bama Beach Bum, and we had a special guest that we will definitely have back on the show, but I had a glitch. Our meeting glitched out and I lost all the audio. So I sincerely apologize to you guys. And folks, that's going to wrap it up this week. You guys, please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like us to email you the podcast each week, just text the word fishing to 314-665-1767. Again, just text the word fishing to 314-665-1767 to subscribe to our email list, and we'll send you the new show each week. We'll talk to y'all next week. Keep whacking them. This week's Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report has been brought to you by KillerDock. KillerDock uses marine-grade aluminum to make fabulous fish cleaning tables and stunning canopies that will keep us out of the sun. KillerDock combines durability, function, and design to uniquely upgrade your entire dock experience. Visit KillerDock.com to see more. Also brought to you by Foster Contracting, Fortified Roofing Pros. Did you know you could save up to 40% on your homeowner's insurance with a fortified roof? Learn more at FortifiedRoofingPros.com or call them at 251-973-9999.
This week's Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report brought to you by me, Angelo DePaola, The Coastal Connection. Find us online at thecoastalconnection.com.
Also by Fishbites. Check out the full line of scented saltwater and freshwater baits as well as tackle at fishbites.com. And also brought to you by Photonis Defense PD Pro Ultralight Ultra Compact Night Vision Systems. Simply the best in-class night vision systems ever built. Contact them at photonisdefense.com to learn more. Photonis Defense, Masters of Darkness. Also brought to you by the Hunting Exchange. Hunting Exchange is an app for iOS and Android that gives you a one-stop shop to buy and sell your hunting gear. Whether you're looking to sell your bow, broadheads, technical apparel, stands, saddles, or anything in between, this secure platform allows you to buy and sell gear with confidence. So head on over to the App Store or Google Play and experience a new hassle-free way to buy and sell hunting gear by downloading the Hunting Exchange app today. And also brought to you by Sam's Stop and Shop is your one-stop shop located at 27122 Canal Road in Orange Beach, Alabama. Sam's has a little bit of everything, including a deli, inshore, offshore, and surf fishing tackle. They also have bait, clothing, groceries, name brand sunglasses, and so much more. Stop by and shop or call them at 251-981-4245 today. And also brought to you by Coastal Conservation Association of Alabama. Check them out at ccaalabama.org.